and filed a complaint, and I had not been arrested. What's this word? Clearly shows that Kim Foxx, the head prosecutor of Illinois, massively abused her power and on every level, resulting not only in me being incarcerated, but now convicted and staring down the barrel of spending the rest of my life in prison. And I don't know the exact date on what and what I'm about to say, but I do know for a fact that after Kim Foxx saw Surviving R. Kelly, that Lifetime put out, she did that press conference that same night. And about 3 days later, there was 3 fire marshals that showed up at my house, at my studio on 219th North Justine Street. And let me say, like, right going into this part, he says that none of these alleged victims or survivors had any police reports on him at all, any of them. I was random. It was random. They were knocking at my door, my front door of my studio, and also the back doors. But I did not answer them. I didn't allow them to come in because they did not show papers of any kind that said they were allowed to enter my studio. So they left, and after 4 days later, they returned with a warrant, and there were 6 or 7 of them, along with 3 other people who did not look like they had anything to do with the fire department. However, they had a warrant, so I allowed them to come in and look around, but I felt like they were there just to see if there were any other girls somewhere in the building. Being held against their will. And they used that fireman as an excuse to get into my studio because they had a problem, because they didn't have probable cause. My studio is downstairs, and upstairs is a large. My studio is downstairs, and upstairs it has a lounge with couches and chairs and television that you have 3 bedrooms with bathrooms, chairs, closets, tables, and lamps. Also a workout gym with Stairmasters, treadmills, boxing gear, and a massage something. Then there's a big kitchen with a big type of counter, a big kitchen with the bar type of counter, like a table for 6 to eat on. They pulled the kitchen. There's a steam and some showers. Oh, then by the kitchen, there's a steam and some shower rooms with the television in it. And everything in it was state of the art. And cast me and cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars to have done. It was beautiful. But after the fire department left, not only did they serve me with the violation and said that I violated 91 health codes, but they told me that the building I was in was not in the zone for sleeping there. When I had been at that studio for 7 years, and I've slept at that studio, and I slept at every studio I have ever worked in for the last 30 years of my career, and never had I had problems. But the fire department gave me 3 weeks not to fix whatever the problem was, but 3 weeks to get out of the building. This happened to me in 7 days after the docuseries Surviving R. Kelly came out. And after Kim Foxx did that press conference, so I had 3 weeks to put all my studio equipment and all my expensive furniture, TVs, computers, clothes, and everything that I owned in the storage. There was no more studio. And while this was going on, the Metro movement, the Me Too movement was definitely doing their part and continuing to smear my name, which is why all of my tours were canceled as well. And then they stopped me from being able to make money, which would stop me from being able to pay rent at the Trump Towers, my home in Atlanta, my tour bus, drivers, my engineer that worked for me at the studio, and the most of all, my child support. This was the first time in my career, 30 years, that I could not take care of my kids. It was the most horrible and scariest feeling ever, because my kids became the reason I sing. Since the day my first child was born, and the thought of me not being able to take care of them and their needs almost took me under. Not able to take care of them and their needs almost took me under. I tried and I tried and I tried, and even begged for my kids' mom to please stop spreading all those lies about me, because it's only hurting the kids in the long run. But she was so busy trying to bring me to protect herself. What? Oh, but she was so busy trying to bury me to protect herself from the big lie that she told to DCSF about me. That she just continued to do the interview after interview and spreading lies. All I know is this: I could not pay child support, which landed me in jail. But before I went to jail for child support, I had to turn myself into Chicago police because of that press conference Kim Foxx did. About 4 weeks later, I was in jail waiting to get bonded out. But because my arrest had been frozen, being that my assets had been frozen, a friend of mine had to bail me out. Then 2 weeks after that is when I got arrested for child support. But let me say this. When Kim Foxx put a warrant out for my arrest right after I turned myself in and I was in jail, and Joy and Azriel went with me to turn myself in after I turned myself in. And after I turned myself in, Azriel and Joycelyn went back to the Trump house. Homeland Security. He's saying in a letter it says Joy and Zell, but I say Azriel because I know a lot of people don't know who the hell Zell is and shit. Security was right there on the 48th floor, went back to the Trump house. Homeland Security was right there on the 48th floor waiting, and Joycelyn and Azriel to get out the elevator. And when they got out the elevator, there was a blonde woman and a white woman and two white men, and they were all from Homeland Security. And the black woman right away started telling Azriel and Joycelyn that they were safe now and to come with her. So basically right here, I know it's choppy because it was hard for me to read. I needed glasses to read that shit. But basically what he's saying is, like, when he got locked up, when Azriel and Joycelyn went back to the Trump, when they got up on the elevator, he got off the elevator, Homeland Security was right there. You know, like 5 people. That's what he's talking about. You know. On the 48th floor waiting, and Joycelyn and Azriel to get out the elevator. And when they got out the elevator, there was a blonde woman and a white woman and two white men, and they were all from Homeland Security. And the black woman right away started telling Azriel and Joycelyn that they were safe now and to come with her. I guess the plan was to get me arrested and then rescue rescue Azriel and Joycelyn. But the only thing is, Azriel and Joycelyn didn't need rescuing because they were not kidnapped or being held against their will. So the whole thing backfired on Homeland Security. Because Azriel took out her cell phone, started recording the ladies from Homeland, and Azriel and Joycelyn was snapping on Homeland Security. In fact, Azriel was the main one yelling and telling Homeland Security that they shouldn't even be on the floor and that they need to leave. Her and Joycelyn alone. The lady from Homeland Security even tried to keep Joycelyn and Azriel from going down. And Azriel recorded the whole incident on her phone. It wasn't until Jeannie, who is Dr. McGrath's wife, came off the elevator and asked what the hell was going on, that Homeland Security got on the elevator and left. So when I got bonded out of jail 4 days later, I came out of the jail and got my Sprinter, and there were... Let me say something real quick. To the parents of Azriel and Joycelyn and all the people that played a part in the surviving R. Kelly shit. Y'all got him locked up. Homeland Security is waiting for the girls to come back home from court. They on his floor in front of his door. They get off the elevator. They tell the girls, y'all safe now. Come with us. At that point, if these girls is being kidnapped, held against their will, don't you think with the goddamn Homeland Security right there and R. Kelly in jail, if they were being held against their will, they would have went with these people? Y'all made these people look like, y'all embarrassed these people. These people go all the way through and put this man in jail to be on, get outside the elevator when these girls get on and tell them, you're safe now, come with us. They thinking they don't rescue somebody. Girls like, safe? We ain't safe, y'all just took our man away. So all that shit y'all did, y'all made these Homeland Security people go and stand in that goddamn man's hallway while he got locked up. Y'all got him locked up to set these girls free. And when they got there and they seen the same people that locked him up, that came to save them, what did them girls tell them? Get out of here and start filming them. So why is R. Kelly in jail? They need to leave. Her and Joycelyn alone. The lady from Homeland Security even tried to keep Joycelyn and Azriel from going down. And Azriel recorded the whole incident on her phone. It wasn't until Jeannie, who is Dr. McGrath's wife, came off the elevator and asked what the hell was going on, that Homeland Security got on the elevator and left. So when I got bonded out of jail 4 days later, I came out of the jail and got my Sprinter, and there were about 10 news vans around me, ready to follow me, and the cameraman. There were cameramen, at least 40 of them waiting from the front and back of me and both sides of me. There were 3 or 4 helicopters hovering over my head. It was like a movie, and I only finally got in the van, I just fell on the floor of the van. And when I finally got in the van, I just fell on the floor of the van. I was very emotional, exhausted, confused, and most of all, hungry. But there was so many cameras on me, I didn't even know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I just knew I was going to lead all of them news vans and the helicopters to the Trump Tower. And since I was so hungry, I decided to tell my uncle, who was driving me at the time, to take me to McDonald's. So that's where we went. And I thought once we got to McDonald's, I thought all of the news and the helicopter would go away. And at first I thought they did not. But after I got out the Sprinter and walked to McDonald's with my security, all of the men, all of the cars, the cameraman rushed me up to McDonald's window and started filming me while I sat there. And ate my food. And drink my coffee. I was so tired that I wanted to go straight to the Trump Tower and get in the tub. I stayed at McDonald's signing autographs as long as I could, just hoping the cameramen would leave, but they didn't. Yeah, so I stop right there for now because it was like a lot, you know. So I'll continue with more over the next few days. But once again, you know, I can't make up that. I was not there to even know all this detail. So if you doubt that these are R. Kelly words, then you just doubt it. Those who know him and know the story and know the situation knows exactly that no one else could be saying that but him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's when I tell y'all, like, it's just 100 of pages that I gotta read and read to y'all. You know, so like I said, I just wanted to start with the beginning of what he said about Kim Fox. And, you know, Instagram, I'm getting off of here. Y'all come on my YouTube. You know, it's like, you know, stuff that he was saying, like with Kim Fox, like no victims were investigated. He said there was no background checks on people like Ashanti McGee. Like if they'd have did a background check on her, they'd have knew she was an incredible person. You know, he said that, you know, she was Blackie's assistant and took over for Diana Copeland when Diana Copeland was out. That's how Ashanti McGee got in there to work for him, because she was Blackie's assistant originally. And how he cut her off, they was going to the mall and she had on a skimpy outfit, and he told her she couldn't go out with him looking like that. And then he eventually let her go. He never had intimacy with Ashanti McGee at all. And he's like, you know, his main thing is like, none of these victims filed a police report. And no one, not one of them, got arrested for lying. No one got arrested for extortion. He's like, how is all these people able to do all this shit to him and none of them get arrested?
Motion detected at your front door.
He's also like, Dream Hampton and Lifetime paid people to talk about him. So that was a job. Everybody was surviving R. Kelly, from the cameraman down to the editor, to the producers, to the lighting, to the grip. Everybody got paid. That was a job.